Joining me now is Zak Ringelstein. He is running for Senate in Maine, and this is a bizarre situation because he's a Democrat in a blue state in a blue wave year, and he's the underdog. That's strange. So let's talk about that and why that's the case. Zak, welcome back to Rebel Headquarters, brother.
How you doing, Cenk? Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you.
Underdog is gonna win. Let's do it.
That's right. Well, a lot of them have won so far, so
right.
It is definitely a trend. So let's first catch up people to the state of your race, and then we'll talk about the issues and what you've been up to lately. So,
Sure.
So for the folks who are confused at home, why is a Democrat the underdog in a blue state like Maine?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yes.
The answer is that we have a corporatist independent named Angus King. He caucuses with the Democrats, but he votes with Trump nearly half the time. He just worked to deregulate Wall Street. He voted against military sexual assault prevention. He voted for Mike Pompeo, Alex Azar, Tillerson, Carson, you name the nominee. He takes money from ExxonMobil. He takes money from pharmaceutical companies, from Navient, one of the predatory student loan companies. And so he's somebody who caucuses with the Democrats. And most recently, I think thanks to a lot of pressure from our campaign, a lot of activists around the state, has finally come out against Kavanaugh. But he is not the guy who is going to lead the charge towards a new era of Democratic politics.
Yeah, no, he doesn't look like he's leading a charge towards anything new at all. Look, for those of you at home that are wondering, so all those bad attributes that Zak just listed, so why does Washington favor someone like Angus King, or why does the media favor him? Because they love incumbents, they love the establishment, they love bipartisanship that leads to money in the pockets of the rich and the powerful. So it's not to say Angus King is terrible on all issues, if you ask me. And yes, it's easy enough to find Democrats who are decent on some of the social issues, but why do you have to settle? So in a state like Maine, there's two factors. One is the normal factor, which is, well, whenever you have a corporatist Democrat, the party goes all ballistic about don't support independence. In this case, you've got a corporatist independent and a real Democrat, that's you, Zak.
That's right.
And so where the party at? I mean, I'm going to talk about the unique circumstance of Maine in a second, but has the Democratic Party come out swinging on your behalf? Let's get that independent out there, and if you got a D on your helmet, they're always for you. That's what I hear every time from them. So is that the case here?
So yeah, party unity, party unity. In this case, the answer is that I am a Democrat, a lifelong Democrat, but I would like to see the Democrats actually live their values. And our campaign is leading the charge in terms of living values, because we're not taking corporate, PAC, lobbyist, or fossil fuel money. We actually stand for Medicare for all and raising teacher salaries. All the things that a real progressive would do, and the Democratic Party should be leading on. But unfortunately, the Democratic Party in this state has not taken the right road. They unfortunately aren't siding with the people. They've actually asked me, Cenk, to literally pay $100,000 in order to get onto their palm cards, in order to be named on their phone calls, and in order to be mentioned at their doors. This is outrageous. It speaks to establishment corporatist politics, and the Democratic Party needs to figure out how to be the party of the people again, and I want to be part of that leadership.
Look, I don't want people to get confused, because they got to be confused at this point. Zak is the Democratic candidate for Senate in Maine. He's not the independent.
That's right.
He's not the Green Party. He's not Democratic Social. He's the Democratic candidate in Maine.
That's right. That's right.
And so if you say, well, look, Cenk, come on, it's understandable. Angus King is in their caucus, and they want to be careful. They don't want to split the vote. Zak, in Maine, is it possible to split the vote?
No, because we have ranked choice voting, which means that there is no spoiler effect in this race.
So you can, if you're worried about the Republican winning in Maine, easy peasy. You rank Zak #1, you rank Angus King #2, you rank the Republican number 18, and you're done with it, right?
Rank him 20 or like 100 or something like that. But yes, I keep saying, guys, rank me first and rank Angus second. And I want to point out something my team and I have been talking about this week is that in any other country, Angus King would be a conservative. Not only did he vote for George W. Bush in the 2000 election, but he endorsed Susan Collins in 2014. He is a conservative in every way, shape, and form. And unfortunately, we keep getting dragged farther and farther to the right. And someone like Angus King can pass as a Democrat. That is such a fallacy when he's fast tracking gas pipelines through our state. We need so much better. So it's this real shame that we've got this corporatist thing happening here where the establishment and the donor table of the Democratic Party coming right from the top of this party is not supporting the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortezes or the people who are truly ready to take back this country. I know that this is what this show is all about, is actually showing this momentum. So we're proud because we are a people's campaign. You should see the way that our supporters are making signs for us. Literally, there was a band that made a song for us the other day.
That's awesome. That's something we share.
And we're putting it on the radio as our ad is their campaign song. It's all coming from the grassroots and coming from the ground.
So I want to give everybody the website and the links because since the Democratic Party is not stepping up here, we all got to step up to make a difference. So Ringelstein for Maine.com, you got the donation, you got the volunteer links. If you're watching this later on YouTube or Facebook, those links are always in the description box. Please go make a difference. Here, there are no excuses. If you say, hey, Angus King, well, he's 50-50 and that's better than a Trump Republican. Okay, you're right about that. That's why you rank him number 2. You rank him above the Republican and you rank him below the real progressive. And I mean, look at Maine and Vermont right next to each other. And I hear all the time in Washington, well, you can't support Bernie Sanders, he's an independent. He doesn't even call himself a Democrat.
Yeah.
But how about Angus King? He's an independent. He doesn't call himself a Democrat. And instead of voting with progressives like Bernie Sanders does, he votes with conservatives. Makes no sense.
That's right. It makes no sense. And I want to make the pledge that I am going to be a Democrat my entire life. Our goal should be to take back our party for the people. And when I talk to working class people in Maine, they're ready for change. But unfortunately, the establishment powers are not. And so this is our time. We need to stop voting with Wall Street. We need to actually start doing something for the people, get healthcare for all people. This is all honestly complete irrational insanity, the way that our government works, the way that 70% of Americans support Medicare for all, over 50% of Americans support Medicare for all, yet Angus King doesn't.
Yeah,
and
I'm sorry, you misspoke
that we
there.
would even pass it.
Sorry, Zach, you misspoke there for a second. Over 70% of the country is in favor of Medicare for all. Over 50% of Republicans are in favor of Medicare for all. Yes, you said the country. It's actually even the majority of Republicans.
Yes, over 70% of the country and over 50% of Republicans. That's correct.
So if Angus King's like, hey, I'm middle of the road, well, then you should support Medicare for all.
That's exactly it.
Look, the part that really got me is that instead of the Democratic Party giving you money, they're asking you for $100,000.
That's right. That's right. And we're not taking anything but small donations. So we guys, I'm just going to make this pitch. Everybody, if you want someone who's going to stand up for the people, I'm your guy. I'm going to be there for you, and I'm working hard on the ground here in Maine. We need you to step up right now. Give us a small donation. Tweet us out. Send us a note on Facebook. We could have a real progressive in the US Senate from the great state of Maine. But it's going to honestly take us, the people, standing up, rising up, writing letters to the editor. Hell, write a letter to the New York Times. Do what it takes because this election matters more than ever. And let's get that 17th US Senator who supports Medicare for all in the US Senate.
So, by the way, I mean, Zach's got a super interesting resume. He was a school teacher, a CEO, and a country and Western singer. I'm not sure I've ever seen those 3 things on the same resume before. But I wanted to touch on one other thing before we run out of time, which is you love taking road trips. You went down to the border once and you were actually taping on Facebook.com/RebelHQ when you got arrested. But you took another road trip recently to Washington. What was that for, Zach?
So I joined along with a group of Maine women activists who are so sick and tired of Angus dilly-dallying on his ability to say no, but then mostly on Susan Collins' unwillingness to challenge the Trump administration and and say no to Kavanaugh. And so what we did is we took a bus overnight. We got on the bus at 9 p.m. We arrived early the next morning. It was uncomfortable as could be, but all of the activists did it. I was on that bus, and we got to the Hart Senate building in Washington, D.C., and we went up to Senator Collins' office, and this was on Friday. And we had been petitioning for days, the people of Maine. The Maine activists are just unbelievable women who are doing incredible things. And there were a number of sexual assault survivors who were on this trip. And finally, she gave in on Friday and had a meeting with 5 women. And as it turns out, she's now calling for an FBI investigation. And we are hoping that she can be a hero, save our country, and vote no on Kavanaugh. She may be the deciding vote. So this work is important. It's unbelievable to witness the people of Maine stepping up, because we know that our U.S. Senator could be the deciding vote.
And one day you could be a deciding vote if they put you into office in the Senate seat in Maine. So Ringelstein4Maine.com is the website one more time. And Zak, thank you so much for joining us on Rebel Headquarters.
Cenk, it's always a pleasure. I'll see you in the Senate.
I'll see you in the Senate, brother. On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.